Now tell me about something good, please. Make my month better.
Next month, I'm gonna be. I'm kidding.
Yeah, there's no way your opinion changed that much.
Resident Evil 8 was released on May 7th of 2021 on the PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One series, and on PC. A Mac and Switch version was released in October of 2022. I shit this review out Friday night and did not proofread it, so here we go.
I love typos.
I didn't have a drink until after I typed it, so it should be okay.
We'll see.
Story opens up with Mia Winters, the waifu that we saved in Resident Evil 7, reading a scary kid's book to her daughter. Plot twist, that story is foreshadowing the events of the game. Shh. Once the kid is asleep, Ethan puts her down to bed. When he rejoins his wife, Chris Redfield breaks the door down and shoots Mia dead. Chris! No. He says some cryptic things, takes the kid, Ethan, and dead Mia on a road trip that is rudely interrupted by something off-screen. When Ethan comes to, he walks through the woods into a nearby village. After walking through the village a little bit, raiding some drawers and whatever, helping the villagers free up some of the junk inside their houses, some lichens attack. This leads Ethan to a small group of survivors who don't survive very long before he is captured by the Addams family. Here he sees a woman, called Mother Miranda, as well as a scraggly guy with sunglasses, a gross rotten hunchback thing, a demonic talking doll, and a giant pale woman with a great big hat. Shush.
Yeah. No.
The creatures fight over who will take Ethan to play with. Mother Miranda decides that the guy with the glasses gets Ethan. Ethan quickly escapes, digs around the village a little bit more because he didn't find all of the gunpowders and bullets and stuff, and then breaks into the tall castle that casts its shadow on the village. This is the home of the tall, pale woman in the white dress and great big hat. It turns out that she and her 3 daughters are vampires, at least mostly. They chase him all through the castle, and Ethan manages to kill all 3 of the daughters. He eventually unlocks the front door, only to be met with a boss fight with Lady Dimitrescu. Really quick, I love that this game uses lichens and vampires for most of the story. It's nice to have some classic monsters that aren't zombies or slime.
True.
Ethan finds that while in between the car crash and being brought before Mother Miranda, his daughter Rose was put into 4 different flasks that were shared with Miranda's children, and that he needs to get these flasks back to put them in the weird machine that progresses the story.
What the fuck?
The baby was chopped up into pieces and put in flasks.
I got that. What the fuck?
After killing the vampire lady with the big booty, Ethan gets the first flask, goes back to town, and works his way through the other 3 quote-unquote children, collecting the flasks. Once he has all 4, he gets a big exposition dump from Chris Redfield, and then fights a giant mold monster with a homemade tractor tank. Here, Ethan dies. Another exposition dump. Yes, this is similar to the mold that we fought in Resident Evil 7, but it's a different strain. It's not the same one. While Ethan did die, he actually got absorbed as a possible form for the mold to take. Miranda had taken Mia's shape and had replaced her by the start of the game because she was trying to get hold of Rose. When Ethan comes back, he has a final boss fight against a transformed Mother Miranda. This somehow brings Rose back to life, and the story ends with a black screen and white text that says, quote, "The father's story is now done."
That's a lot of shit that happened.
Thank you. Visuals. Insert meme format. Resident Evil 4 Remake looks good, but I like this. Resident Evil 8 is really great. The gore is juicy and gross. Hair looks pretty solid. I like that it looks like multiple strands, like real hair. It's not just, the solid lump hair that you get in a Lego game or a lot of older games. I really like the setting for this game. It's a snowy Transylvania with different places to visit. The castle feels fitting for the world, as well as the village outside of the castle. There's a swampy lakeside with windmills and a dam. There's a weird abandoned cabin that's on a mountainside and it's lost in the fog. The last level is a bit of a stretch for me. It's a big factory that's making a bunch of Hellraiser-style monsters, kind of like the nightmare-fueled toys that Andy's weird neighbor kid makes in Toy Story 1. It's
Kinky.
like the Barbie legs with the propeller as a body. Like, literally, that's what these monsters are. Sound design. The opening minutes of the game are an example of how good the sound design is in this game. After the car crash, when Ethan is walking through the woods in the dark, you hear his footfalls as he trudges through the snow. You hear him shivering and breathing heavy because he's cold. You also hear things moving through the trees around you in the dark. It's awesome. When you're alone in the castle, just like Resident Evil 7, you hear the castle creaking in the wind. You hear people walking the hallways and closing doors nearby, despite you thinking that you're alone. Later in the level, when Lady Dimitrescu is pissed off and threatening to step on you, you can hear her stomping around looking for you.
I've seen the gameplay of that segment for research purposes. It gets very scary when she leans down into a doorway and is like, hello!
It is actually a good jump scare, because you're like, you watch her walk through and you're like, is she gone? She's gone. You go to open the door, she's like, hello! My chest is here.
Fucking, like, smile door carved window type shit. So good.
Weird.
So good.
The voice acting in this game is pretty spot on. The disgustingly fat merchant snuffles as he's talking, like he's talking around his cheeks and jowls.
That's great.
But he's also breathing heavy, despite always sitting. Lady Dimitrescu sounds cold and menacing most of the time, but has incredible range. Sometimes she can sound sweet, and other times she barks in anger, and it all sounds incredible.
Woof.
Ethan pulls off some really emotional moments that I hadn't really picked up the first time I played this. Especially when the survivors are killed and he's the only one left. He vehemently swears and asks the sky why everyone is dying around him. And the delivery was really solid. Guns sound really good in this game. There are a couple of different types of pistols or shotguns you can get, and they sound unique from each other. So you get like the classic the side by side, and then you can upgrade to like the military pump one, and they all sound different.
Crunch.
The sniper rifle is equal parts loud and menacing. Very good. Gameplay. I start this with, I don't think there's too much here for me to say that I haven't already said before, because it's in the RE engine. It all works pretty much the same. You stop moving to get the tighter reticle and try to get the headshots. Like, the health button is the right bumper. I think that was in RE7, if I remember right, for like a quick heal. The D-pad, you can assign what weapon goes on which key of the D-pad so that you can switch weapons quickly and easily. It's all the same to a point. This game feels a lot less like a puzzle and more straightforward. I'm sure you can sequence break a little bit, but having played it twice, I feel that I played it almost exactly the same way. Outside of like crazy studying and like speedrun strats, I don't think there's really many different ways you can play this story. It's pretty linear or straightforward. I feel like a lot of the doors and pathways you unlock during the game are really optional, at least in normal mode, because they just lead to money or things that can be sold for money or just general pickups. There's not a lot of like overlapping trails. It's just like, here's a closet where everybody hides their bullets, because of course.
Yeah, the bullet closet.
Yeah.
This is America.
No, it was Transylvania.
It's like America.
Oh, yeah. They speak English, so...
Yeah, no, it's basically America.
The actual story progressing path is very straightforward, though. The merchant has the typical buy, sell, upgrade options. There's a new idea in this game that lets you present different types of protein, and the merchant will cook up different dishes for you. Each dish has a different stat boost for the rest of the game and can only be made once. So one was like movement speed is increased, or health is increased permanently, or whatever. I think there were 7 or 8 different meals available in total. It's a really awkward interaction. You load the different ingredients required for the meal, and then you listen to the same sound every time with just a boring menu card that says the meal is being prepared, the sound of someone eating it, and then that's it. Interesting enough idea to get that permanent stat boost, but the application is a little lackluster.
It needs a quick time event, man.
No, it just done. It takes a while to make the meal and eat it and whatever. I will give credit, this excellent game was made right at the start of COVID, so I wouldn't be surprised if this was like a last minute idea that had to be made and shipped with limited resources. I don't know, but if you told me that, I'd believe it for sure. While it's been present in every Resident Evil game, there is one specific spot in this game where I have to scum the safe rooms to keep myself safe from the monster that's chasing me. As soon as I step into the safe room, the monster forgets that I exist and starts hunting for me in the rest of the level, despite watching me walk into the safe room. I've had it both playthroughs. Like, this exact spot, Lady Dimitrescu is gonna step on me, and I just have to hide in the safe room for like 5 minutes until she goes away so that I can get to where I'm going, because where she spawns is like right in between, and it's impossible to run around and whatever. Very annoying. I don't feel too bad for scumming this because the level really isn't designed for being chased in circles like other Resident Evil games. It's kind of shaped like a trident, 3 pathways that mostly lead to dead ends. Like Resident Evil 1, you can run all through the house and up and down and in and out and whatever to lose whatever's chasing you, and it makes sense. But in this game, you've got 3 freaking pathways and 2 of them end.
She can back me into a corner.
I played this game on normal, and I feel that this is much more of an action game than a horror game, much like Resident Evil 4. There are a couple of good scares in this game, though. The best one, spoilers.
Uh-oh.
I know you're not going to play this game. Do you want me to skip the spoiler then?
No, I don't fucking care. You can spoil it. I want to play it eventually, but like I don't really care about spoilers that much. It just doesn't bother me.
That abandoned cabin on the mountainside in the fog. You enter the cabin, it's quiet, nothing's moving. You randomly lose your inventory for this level. They're just like, oh, fuck you, hand over everything. I didn't like that. You ride an elevator down into the basement and have to work through a kind of locked room scenario. You're running up and down the same couple hallways several times, piecing everything together. The last time you run through the hallway, you have to take a breaker from a panel next to the elevator, which turns off all the lights.
Oh, dear.
And then run back to the end of the hallway where you've been working. All of a sudden, out of the dark, a fetus the size of an SUV starts crawling towards you, absolutely screaming.
What the fuck? That's horrifying, but really fucking funny.
It's very similar to the tall guy scare, stepping through the doorway and it follows. Oof. It's completely unexpected and it's very effective. I knew it was there this playthrough, and I was like, all right, that's coming up. Oh, it's right there. It still got me.
That's so fucking weird, man.
And it's really funny because a dude at work just played this like 2 months ago, and he was like, he's sitting in his basement playing it with the headphones on so he doesn't bother his wife. He's sitting in the dark playing this, didn't know what was coming, and it started screaming, and he just took the headphones off. It was like, that's enough for tonight.
Yeah. Oof.
Back to the point that this is more of an action game, I rarely ever ran out of ammo or healing items. Pickups were common, and the crafting system made pausing and crafting what I needed quick and easy. Both times I've played this, I had all kinds of Magnum ammo for the final fight because I didn't have to use it up to that point. I don't think I even used the Magnum in the first playthrough because I was like, I don't need this thing. Get it out of here. I need inventory space. But this time I was like, no, I'm going to fire it because I've never fired it before and just burn through the last 2 bosses quick. Pew! I don't think I've talked about it before, but a feature that I love about most of these Resident Evil games has been the ability to do a quick heel spin by pulling back on the left stick and pressing circle at the same time. I wish it would become a thing in other games, especially shooters. It would make getting shot at from behind a lot easier to manage and not just an almost guaranteed death. use it so much in these Resident Evil games. It's just so helpful for movement to do 180 spin like really quick. It's awesome. And yeah, I really think Call of Duty needs this because it makes sense in my brain. In closing, I survived. Thank you. I enjoyed this one a lot more than I remembered. It checks all the boxes for me. A couple of good scares, a couple decent challenges, great atmosphere, memorable monsters and villains. If I had to listicle, I would say this gets third place. Resident Evil 7 gets second, and Resident Evil 2 Remake gets my favorite.
Yeah, fair.
But honestly, they are really, really close in quality and enjoyment. Most of the rest of the list is a pretty big drop-off, but I don't need to go through all that again. I wanted to review the story DLC that was released several months after this game was released because it follows Rose as she discovers she has some sort of mold powers, but I didn't have time. As far as I know, this is the only story DLC for a Resident Evil game that might have any significance on the next entry. Resident Evil 7 had a couple weird spin-off DLCs, and some of them had a story, but it was really just closing up loose threads in that game. There was a weird side game with the retarded son. There was another family stuck in the same bayou, like dealing with the mold monsters, but it didn't have anything to do with Resident Evil 8 and where we end up with that. I'm confident that I will be reviewing that DLC during next month's Dime Gaming Bros Happy Hour.
Yes, I need it.
I'm a little more than halfway through it right now.
Nice.
And it's jank.